Good evening. The CPC meeting on Thursday, February 14th will come to order. We got a lot of stuff. I guess we're going to roll through quickly because it's Valentine's Day, and we'll see what we can do here. What I thought I'd like to do, given that I think the first two things are closely related, I did send out something just a little bit before the meeting, and I'm going to pass out copies because I did make copies. So, okay, let's see. Yeah, it's a set. It's a set of three.
Okay.
Yeah.
Need better staff help over here.
Yeah. I know. So pass down this way.
Oh, she has it, okay, thank you.
John, does this, I don't think it doesn't look like it does include the one we got today?
No,
No, okay.
no,
I
it
didn't-
doesn't. We have to decide what we're going to do about that anyway, so.
Yep.
So, just what I thought we would do is do 1 and 2 sort of together. And kind of in a sense start with 2, and that's what the intent of this spreadsheet is. There's 3 tabs in it, and the first 2 really look at the commitments under slightly different assumptions, and the third one just happens to be the list of all the projects and the amounts. So if you look at the first thing that I passed out, it basically, what it does is it starts with the fund balance as of the end of January. So this is the number of the amount of money that's actually in the till for CPA as of the end of January. And then to roll it forward to the end of the year, what we did was add the amount of revenue that's going to come in for the rest of the year, and we do get some interest expense. And then subtracting out of that is the amount of the project commitments from the other spreadsheet that we got from the town. And I put a small adjustment in which you can keep in or take out, it doesn't really matter, of the gross amount of the commitments, and I backed out of just what I looked like, about 150,000 of things that looked like they were done that we hadn't closed out yet. And what that does is says at the beginning of, at the end of this year, we would have about 500,000 of free money, and then to that in fiscal 20, you would add in the revenue for the year, the estimated state match, and again some interest amount of money, and come up with the new total, and that's about 2.7 million, and that would be the amount of money we would have available, this year if we wanted to spend every last penny. So that just gives you a little bit of context of how much money is there and how much money is available. Now, if you go to the second one, it's basically the same as the first, but what it does is it takes some of the money for the Fields project and takes it out of fiscal 19 and puts it into fiscal 20 and 21 when the money's actually going to be spent. So at the end of fiscal 21, it ends up at the exact same spot. But we know that, for example, on the Fields project, they came to the planning board a couple weeks ago and laid out the plan. The work's going to start really in the beginning of fiscal 20, which is July, and it's going to run 2 years. So the largest part of it's going to be spent in fiscal 20, and a very large chunk of it's going to be spent in fiscal 21. So it just gives you another view of how much money is available going forward. And then the third page is just a list of all the projects, and I just copied this off of the stuff that we got, so it gives you the total amount. So what this says is, hypothetically, we could, if we chose to fund every single one of these projects, and we could even add 30,000 in for this other project, we would have enough money to cover everyone out of the money that we had. So that's just context. It doesn't necessarily mean we're going to make any direct decision on that, but it gives you some idea of where we are. So it makes sense. Okay, everybody okay with this? Or, you know, I went and I looked at the data one other way based on the 5-year plan and pretty much came up with the same numbers, within a couple 100,000. So I think it looks to be pretty solid.
Can I ask a dumb question? The newbie over here. When does our revenue come in?
Comes in every month.
Every month we're getting it in, okay.
And typically what you see is if you look at that statement that the town accountant gives us, the first month of each quarter, it's a pretty big number. It's lower the second month, and then it's virtually nothing the third month, because that's the way the real estate tax cycle comes in, so.
Says people pay this.
Other taxes come in, got it.
Yeah, it comes with the real estate
So it's
taxes.
fairly evenly distributed in that sense?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Great.
so. And it's been pretty stable number over the years. It increases like 3 to 5% every year, basically.
Tax increase in town, we should see a little bit more.
Maybe. So what, you know, once we have that, I thought, you know, going through all the projects, my thinking is a little bit, we look at them, think what questions we want to ask, and then whether we want to bring the people in for a meeting, and you know, we can just go through them all, and if we have questions or concerns, let's raise them now. So we all have copies, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so do you want to start at the top and work our way through it?
Sure.
Yeah. The Affordable Housing Trust, it's the same 100,000 that they get every year. I don't know if people would like to see them now or in the fall or some other time, or how you would like to do that.
The Affordable Housing Trust?
Yeah.
Well, they should be, they've picked their, it went on hold, I know, due to the Columbia gas explosion,
Yeah.
the marketing of Anus Street. They had their interviews and all of that, I believe, last week. They've chosen a candidate. He is currently working with the bank in the hopes that he will be able to obtain the mortgage for the property. So I know that property is settled, or will be settled, if not with him, with the next candidate below him, but if he can't get the mortgage. So I don't know if, I wish Laurie was here, but I'm sure they're looking for, even though I don't sit on it anymore, I try to keep up. They'll probably be looking for their next project come this summer.
Yeah, I mean, do we want to wait until maybe our first meeting in the fall to have them come
Yeah,
in? or-
I wouldn't see any
Okay.
reason for them to come back. But.
Okay. So not come in, okay. Okay, so that's that one. The second one is a project from Friends of North Andover Trails related to the Sear Recycling and I think the Bay Circuit Trail.
Yeah.
You know, I had heard very little about that in the past, but not a whole lot.
I don't know much about it at
I mean, it's not much money, but you want to have them in and have them pitch.
Yeah, talk to 'em, especially if, hopefully after we've seen useful property too. And I'd like to bring that up to them.
Of the Sear property?
No, I know what this is all about, but I'd like to also talk to them about if we do put the parking lot in at the useful property, talk about putting a trail that would connect it to Half Mile Hill and
Okay.
all of that.
Okay. Okay.
I think it makes sense to have them in, just to talk to them, get the rundown of this. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
It's really, do I have the gist right? It's kind of like a bridge over one of the brooks.
I think, yeah,
Okay.
similar to
Right.
the one that we did, I think, a year or so
Farnham.
ago, over one right on the lake.
Okay.
Yeah. So, okay. The next one is the next phase of the playground project.
I mean, that's, This one's in accordance with the plan, right?
Yeah, it's the next one's on the list, yeah.
I guess my only question, and I don't need to have them in, I just could ask this question to someone, but Grogan's Field, I mean, will the plan for that be changed based upon the work that they have to do down there to fix it after the, no? Okay. Great. Then I'm good.
They have the plan put together for that, but it doesn't include the playgrounds. Is not part of the request they had put to the gas.
I just didn't know if, based
It
upon,
may slow it down.
totally, but I didn't know if based upon, I mean, if they're just gonna make it good again and do the same plan, then that's fine. I hadn't heard, so
Yeah,
I was
That's
curious.
pretty much what it's going to be. They're going to add irrigation and some underground drainage in the, infield of the baseball, and they're going with all sod. So the whole repair should be done early in the spring.
Okay.
Yeah,
Do we
that's what I
get
heard.
cost estimates on this one at all? Or do we just fund a blank $100,000?
What we've been doing is giving each one 100,000 as a blank thing. I think one of the things that we've done is for every one of the projects, we've tried to get a community group involved to, provide direction and so forth from it. And that's generally worked pretty well, I think, where it's happened, right? Terry, at Drummond, they had a lot of people, didn't they?
That was great. They put out a survey thing, and then from the survey, they get volunteers that design it from the neighborhood, and then it gets approved. Laurie works with them, and they approve a final plan. So they have a nice process. Keep the neighbors involved.
Yeah, I think it's worked pretty well, and the first thing that happened with this is we did a study. We did a study prioritizing which of the, what order we should go in, so.
Close to the end.
We're getting close to the end, yeah, you're
I think
right.
the only one that I can think of left is the beach, Stevens Pond.
Thompson School.
Is it Thompson? Okay, so maybe those are the two that are, I know there's only one more year.
Because even
Yeah.
Kyle Thomas got done last summer.
Yep.
Yeah, so thinking is we don't need to have that man, or?
I don't think so, but
Unless we want to talk to Laurie when she has, if we're going to have her for the house.
Yeah.
I don't need him.
This looks like, as I look at it, if you look on the back sheet, it's got the ranking of the schools, and it looks like Reynolds and Grogan are 5 and 6 out of 11.
Yeah, so Reynolds may not be done yet either.
But Atkinson's now done.
Reynolds
Yeah,
is
we
on
moved
here.
Atkinson up
Moved
the
Atkinson
list
up
because of the
project.
Right.
ECC is
Yeah.
done, and then it would be Apelin and,
Well, I don't think the
CC
CC
done.
is,
Well, it's part of the project where,
right,
with
yeah.
the field, so it's getting.
it's getting wrapped into that.
Right. But if I meant not done.
Right,
Yeah.
not finished, yeah.
But yeah,
So
I
that'll
mean,
leave-
Thompson,
And Applin.
yeah,
Okay.
where is that one?
Applin,
Clarity
Water,
Street.
yeah,
oh, Water Street.
in the water.
All right.
That didn't get done?
No, Clarendon's
No,
not
that-
done.
yeah.
Applin's not done, no.
Because you know why? They got done by Lions Club and someone else, Rotary.
Yeah, so there should
Did
only
it.
be 3 more
Yeah,
left.
so when they came out, and those engineers came out,
John, so
and then they
right.
ranked
There's
them.
only- I think
They're
there's
getting
only
done
3
well.
left.
I totally
Thompson,
forgot. I lived
Alpin,
right at Kyle Thomas, and all of a
and,
sudden it was done. I was like, oh, God, I
the
forgot all
beach.
about it.
Yeah.
Gets a
So
ton of
that's
use.
pretty good, yeah.
Yeah. That's
Tons.
pretty good, yeah. Seemed like a lot when we started. So, okay, that's that one. Next are our friends at Ridgewood for their, I think this is their 8th tranche. Hopefully it's the last. I think we probably should have them in, and I know they're perfectly willing to come in to provide some context with what they've done and what they're still planning to do. So, are there any sort of specific questions that, I can advise them on in advance, or?
I don't have any specific questions. I think it would be good, I'd like to have them come in. Since I've been on the board, I haven't had any interaction with them, so I
Okay.
think it would be great.
Have you
Okay,
been through recently?
Yes, looks phenomenal. I mean, there's no doubt about the good work that's been done.
yeah,
It's awesome.
so, okay, so that's that. The next one is the project for Essex County Green Greenbelt, which they're calling the Glenny Woodlot property on Dale Street. So,
I do have questions. This is, I know I'll have questions for it. Is this coming through an estate?
no, I think what happened, believe it or there's sort of, one of the things that the Essex County Greenbelt does is they stay in touch with landowners, but also through some of their programs and other things, landowners come to them. And these people, which part of the Glenny family, actually, had an interest in,
Right,
they wanted to
house.
preserve this property, but they were at the point where, because of estate situations, I mean, there's nobody who just died or anything like that, but, you know, they were at the point where they wanted to sell the property, but they wanted to preserve it. And so they didn't want to sell it for full market value on the open market. They wanted to work through a conservation group to sell it at a lower price. So
It's not the children of someone who passed?
no, it's not the children of someone who's passed. no.
Oh, okay.
I mean, when they come in, the person can explain, you know, as much as they're at liberty to explain, but I think it's pretty much everything. But
Is
I'm
it
pretty-
developable land?
Yeah, yeah.
It is developable.
Yeah, and they'll pay, what's even better is the Essex County Greenbelt will pay all the costs of that, including the appraisal. So we don't have to pay that.
Awesome.
And they'll also put it in the parking lot, which you'll be happy to know.
But I mean, to go where? Because it's adjacent to Town Farm. Okay.
Yeah, and the other thing is
I didn't
that they'll
realize
help
that.
us apply for a state open space grant. So I think we should have them in because
Yeah.
it's a good story to tell. So,
Yes.
Yeah,
I didn't even realize it was adjacent to the Town Farm,
yeah. So.
till I just.
Okay, so that's the Greenbelt, so yes on them, and yes. Now, the next comes the Housing Authority project, and,
I think they have to come in.
Yeah.
I think they definitely have to.
I mean, I have great
Yeah.
curiosity in regards to, the whole reason we gave them the money last year for a capital needs plan was so that we're not piecemealing. And this is a-
the projects we've given them over the past couple
And
of years.
they haven't completed anything. And it's very, as an executive director, I'm having a hard time being this critical. I don't want to be. I just put in a $375,000 one myself. So, but
I really would like to see the whole.
the plan.
I
Yeah.
want to see a plan. I want to lay it out and see what we're looking at.
And where we're going from A to Z and where we're at with the ones prior.
Yeah, I'd like to see where the, you know, the money that we've spent already, you know, what it's
And
done.
I'll be honest, I mean, this is not on Kathy Hoag in regards to the projects, because we're bound by DHCD, and they hinder us. I was granted big money to rebuild a community building. It was to be bid last January. It's being bid this January. I have no control over it. It's difficult to explain that to my community preservation when I go and I tell them. It's ridiculous. So some of the projects, you know, it's definitely shouldn't reflect upon her.
No.
But I still want the plan
And-
before we keep moving forward.
And one of the reasons I want the plan is that I struggle with, and I would need someone to really tell me, if I'm going to spend a lot of money inside of one unit, where in the past we've developed the outsides of the unit,
Right.
so that the neighborhood got a lot of advantage to what the money we were spending rather than.
I support interior
Yeah,
work.
well, I'm struggling with it. Once I look at everything, and I see
But-
that all the major projects are done.
Agree.
And we're not gonna, we couldn't help more people.
Right.
Because I want to touch the most people we can with the dollar. That's my thought.
No, that's a super valid point.
agree.
That's a really good point, which is, I think, part of the catalyst of last year when we were pushing for that capital needs study. We turned this project down last year
Yeah.
and said, do a capital needs study.
You know, and I don't think it's a bad idea to get out. I mean, I haven't I haven't stepped inside any units anywhere. I've just driven by, and I think that's an important thing we should do, is take a look inside one of the units. and
Oh, I
see.
can guarantee you they need interior work, but,
Yeah, I would mind.
yeah,
They needed it in the 70s.
this is true. But
So
she
it-
definitely can get you in everywhere.
Yeah. So it does, I think that's actually a good point, Bill, that, you know, maybe, I'm going to reach out to her tomorrow to tell her to come in, but maybe what we can do is arrange a chance either privately, you know, individually or as a group to visit a few of the properties. I think it'd be a great idea. Yeah. So, okay, but we definitely do want to have her back, and I think it's fair to say we have some reservations about that this is not quite ripe yet until the other stuff is done and the study is done, so, okay. It's the most money and the thinnest application, so. The next item is this one for artwork at Stevens Estate. I can't say I know, other than I know what the piece of art looks like.
There's a big tear in it.
There's a big tear in it, yes,
tear in it.
yeah, a big tear in it. I have no idea if it's worth beaucoup money or not, you know,
I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to have her in.
It will be when we're done, yeah.
yeah.
Excellent point.
Yeah, I also don't know, I mean, one of the things that's interesting is I don't know how sort of solid they are going to be about, you know, this RFP for letting the place out to a private party and what their obligation's gonna be versus
That
the-
closed on Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
So we should be hearing something.
Yeah, so, but yeah, we should definitely have them in. And we should, you know, maybe invite Kevin to talk to us about just in general what they've done and so forth. It's always good to get an update, so. Okay. And the last one is our friends at St. Paul's. And
Tough.
I think we have to have them back again. I don't think they took into consideration our conversation.
No,
It doesn't seem.
No.
no, not at all.
Yeah.
It's a bummer.
Yeah, it's too bad. I mean, they're such nice people, and,
I know.
you know, they're so sincere in what they do, but it's like, we got to weed through that to figure out if there's a project in there that we can fund. And right now, a lot of it looks like we can't, so. I mean, any ideas of how we can help them? I mean,
Fundraisers?
maybe.
What scared me out of our last meeting is even if we find something that seems like it's within the bounds, any money going in a direction could be challenged. It felt like it to me.
Yeah.
That's the.
Yeah, I think the trend is, just because I have dealings with two other community preservation committees, they're telling the churches, don't bother, we're not.
Really?
Yeah, West Newbury and Newburyport are both like,
Say.
don't even, they're afraid, rightfully so, because anybody can come in from anywhere, because we get matching funds from the state, and it seems as though that, you know, they're just like us, kind of like, it seems like we can't do anything until somebody really decides if we can or we can't, but at the moment, it seems as though we can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, with that aiding clause, I think it was.
Right.
is what-
Yeah, it seemed to be so
Project
broad that it would be virtually impossible to justify anything. Yeah.
It's,
Current case law.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so,
Yeah, but they didn't really, they kind of set out a bunch of parameters, but then didn't really walk anything through it. So that's the tough part, because if you're gonna say, like, you know, if every dollar is fungible, what are you gonna say? Like, you know, you replace the lawn, right? Is that freeing up money to proselytize and send people door to door? I mean, that seems to be a very tough thing, and it's gonna take a while to get it done. But there's
Yeah.
certainly historic aspects to these different things. I mean, I guess, what do you say? Like, if you tore this down and, you know, put up a brand-new facility, or sold the land and went to something smaller, you know, we'd lose that historical asset for the town, you know, and I think we can all recognize the town's interested, but it just doesn't seem very well defined on how do you support that historical interest of the town in keeping a structure, while not intertwining yourself in the.
I mean, it definitely seems like current case law says it's a church and you can't give it money.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. We're
But I agree,
talking now
I mean-
about the church in the old center right now, where we were all, we wouldn't be here without it, right?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
true.
You were thinking about it, but I still would feel the same way. I just
too.
don't feel, I think we're putting us, meaning this whole program at risk
Yes, I
by
agree.
doing it.
I agree,
Yeah.
sadly. but-
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like, sometimes I feel like if we could help them private fundraise money. it
No,
might
I'm
be a way,
serious, like,
yeah.
maybe we can help them some other
Yeah, in
way.
the right direction is maybe the only other, you know, I don't know.
It's a bummer.
Yeah.
John, what about the one today with the fire department and the $30,000?
We can't talk about it, it's not on the agenda, it has to go on the next
Oh,
agenda.
okay, all righty.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of an awkward, I mean, I don't think we could, yeah, I think you're right, but I think the question will be, how stringent are we going to be in terms of the dates, and we've
I would have
generally,
messed him up.
yeah.
I gave him the wrong advice. I told him he was good till today's meeting, because I just didn't think it would, I thought
Yeah.
we would, I don't know why.
But, yeah.
I'm the one who goofed him up.
Is there any room left in the last, you know,
Yeah.
project for
There's,
that?
they still some things they have to finish. So, one of the pieces of equipment is coming in town hall, so the guy's coming 2 weeks from now, and he's gonna disassemble it. They're gonna put it in the door, and then they're gonna assemble it again and set it up right here. It went to,
That's cool.
everything was in the last parade, I don't know if anybody saw it.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So the equipment was all in the parade. And the other bigger fire, well, one of them's at the fire station outside of the chief's office, right in the main lobby. Looks great, it's great entrance into it. And the third one's gonna go inside the mill. There's a foyer in the mill. They're gonna put it inside there and set it up. They just wanted to make sure they had a safe spot for it, because now it's got all the lanterns and everything hanging on. They don't want anybody walking off with
That's
one.
cool, though, so cool.
But, and of course, that was kind of where it all started, is this was purchased at the time in the mills, so.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But they still want to be able to get accessibility to all of them for parades and that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And they need to build, they've got to finish a shed for it, but that's something else.
So, good. So if we look at the list, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ones that, so the Friends of North Andover Trails, Ridgewood, Essex County Greenbelt, Housing Authority, Stevens Estate, and St. Paul's. Would you want to do it in one meeting marathon or break it into 2? And, you know, do you want to do it on, like, 2 weeks from now on a Thursday, or, you know, what would be people's
I will speak
preference?
for myself. I would prefer not to have a marathon meeting. You know, I'm be much happier to break it up and do 2 meetings, and be more than happy to make myself available at times off of our current schedule to make that happen.
Well, because I think that way, if we have a marathon meeting, but the last people don't have our
No.
full attention.
Yeah, no, that's,
I want, you know what I mean?
I think we owe it to them.
Yeah.
okay.
That's my suggestion.
Okay, no, that's good. So, so maybe we break it up 3 and 3 and have 2 separate meetings, and which 3 we end up with will be based on, you know, who can come which night. Do you want to try for Thursdays just as a start, or?
Whatever works. I opened wide up after
Okay.
this weekend, so.
So maybe we'll start 2 weeks. Well, let's see, we got, because this is February, the next meeting is a regular meeting is the 14th in March.
Okay.
So, and that is the night we actually will have to vote, because we have to get our things in right after that. So that means there's 3 Thursdays between now and then. So next Thursday, you know, and the next 2. So there are people.
21st, the 28th. And the 7th.
Yeah, so do people,
I'm not available, that's the
I'm
only
not
one.
available the 28th.
Nor am I.
could.
Do Wednesday.
Here's-
so the
yeah,
28th is what I'm
here's
hearing.
what, maybe the easiest thing to do, if people are okay with this, is to send a note to everybody, just list the dates you can't make it, and I'll just line them up and find the 3 or 4 the 2 days that we can do all of them. I think that'd be the easiest way. We may have to go to the other place, because we may not be able to get this, but, so be it.
Other days work too. The only days that don't work for me would be a Monday night.
Yeah, I'm thinking Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday.
Okay,
And,
awesome.
Obviously, there's planning board meetings in there, and you have your conservation meetings, so there may be some days that we can't do, but, yeah, we'll assume Tuesday, Wednesday,
So you need
Thursday.
our no days between now and March 14th.
Yeah, and think of it, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday nights are the only nights.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Okay, so that's, anything else on the projects before we move on? Okay. I think I got yours in with mine here, so hopefully okay, so the next one, okay, we did the first two, we're on the third one, is, there was an item to close out a couple of projects. I don't know who, does somebody want to talk about those?
I don't know what the requesting, but I'm asking not to close out Milk Street. I talked to Rick Gorman again today, just to make sure, and, we'll just, if he changes his mind, or if it becomes available, and we need to act in any type of a timely manner, we won't be able to get the property.
Yeah.
Because it just we wouldn't have time to come up with that kind of money unless the timing all hit perfect, but what are the odds of
It
that?
hasn't even been voted on or approved anyway.
Yeah, it has been.
Has it?
Yeah.
At last year's town meeting?
It was the town meeting before.
Before that.
Yeah, it was voted town. In fact, I think it was a unanimous vote at town meeting. So I think the consensus is pretty high to keep it open.
Wasn't it, it's unbuildable land, right?
Well, we don't know that because.
I thought that was established.
Because I talked to,
we're gonna play this.
actually, the last couple of days, I talked to Jennifer about it, and I said, do you
So
know
it's
for
not
sure?
wetlands anymore?
I mean, there is some, but it could
Ah.
change. I mean, there's a lot of puts and takes, and with all my time on the planning board, and all the time you've been on the Conservation Commission, developers could do some stuff that,
I'll tell you right now, what they came in saying that they get 3-4 lots, that'll never happen. That'll never, ever happen. But could they get one or something? Maybe, depending
Yeah.
on what and where, and stuff like that.
I'm all for closing it,
Yeah.
so.
But if we're ever going to add to the youth center, or to be able to put more fields in that connect to the youth center, but we already have everything there and established, it's the cheapest way to
Yeah.
go. I would want to keep it open and hopefully,
Tie up $1 million+ for how many more years?
Could we, is there a way to?
And that's my
Because
only.
I feel in this whole thing of, it does tie up a lot of things. It also says, hey, we've got this 900,000 earmarked for you, which doesn't,
Send a great message.
But no, it doesn't, because what we've told
But it
them
does.
is unequivocally, positively, we're not paying more on appraised value for this
Right.
thing. And if the appraised value turns out to be $400,000, that's all we'd ever pay. We wouldn't go a penny higher.
Right.
We've run into that on other projects in the past. So I don't think, and we can bring in, Essex County Greenbelt to finalize it, or other people, but I agree with Terry, is that at some point Doc may turn around and say, you know something, I'm willing to give this away for $100,000, and this is that perfect
Come on.
piece of property in the old center that, you only get one chance. The one thing with land purchases is that
No, I
you
know.
get
Joe
one
Pellich
window
does.
of opportunity to buy them, and if you don't do it at that time, it's gone. And that's why, that's why part of the reason why I did the analysis is right now, we don't need to close that project out to fund the projects we're doing now.
that's the point. So
yeah.
to your point, how long do we hold on? If we had a project, or we had something going on where we might need that money, or we're saying, we're gonna say no to this because we're holding on to that, then I would have to say we have to make that hard decision.
Yeah.
But we're not in a position where we have to make that hard decision.
We
No, I mean, but if I recall correctly, well, maybe we can get all of the paperwork on the Milk Street project distributed to everybody,
like
because a
that.
lot of people are new. All of it, including the soil testing that has been done.
Yep.
That shows it's wetlands and unbuildable, because we've had this conversation. I think for me, I'm absolutely for closing it, because setting aside $1 million for Doc Atwood for 3 years, 4 years
Well, this isn't about
is,
Doc Atwood,
it's his
about
land.
Andover.
It's his land, though.
Yeah,
It's
but I
his
don't
land,
think
though.
you can personalize it. If it had been somebody else that owns it, we would.
If it
do-
was anybody, I'm just
Uh,
saying
but-
Doc because he happens to own it.
But-
So if it was John Smith,
But
let's say
the
John
point ends up being
Smith.
is, what if it turns out that he's willing to sell the property for short money, and conservation goes in and says, you know, you probably could build something there, you certainly can use it for fields and so forth, and.
But we kind
that
of
is-
walked this road, John, where they said it can't be
But-
used.
but that-
Passive
wait a second.
recreation has been established.
But the
It's
point
been
is
passed,
that
but John,
you're- like, the conservation administrator has not determined that. This was an appraiser that has determined that.
so we're to hold, I mean, my point is real simple. We're holding $1 million
It's-
for if possibly, maybe someday he wants to sell it.
If, to
I
the
don't
point
get
at
it.
which, the point at which Terry said is, why would you give up your option for something when you don't need to give up your option?
Why
We're not at the
would-
point where we have to give up the option because we don't
But
have
here's
other
the question,
projects
if-
in, let me finish. We don't have other projects in play that are drawing on that money. This shows that if we fund every single project here.
It's not about the money,
But if we fund every single
but
project.
it's not about the money.
What do you mean it's not about the, but what if, this is an important piece of parcel. My point is, with open space, you only get one shot. And if we close this project out, and it turns out he's willing to sell it,
He'll come back to us.
yeah, but we can't buy it.
But we've been sitting on it for 3 years.
But we can't buy it. What
so
if
we
it comes
just-
back to us
we-
in out of cycle?
Okay.
We can't buy it, so he will sell it. That's why we want to keep it open for a while longer. If it
For a
comes to
few,
the
how
point where
many,
we have
can
other
we set a
projects-
date, 2 years, 4 years? I mean,
I think it
Let's
should be on
just-
a case-by-case basis, because to Terry's point, we don't need the money right now. And if we did, then we would go in and reassess it.
okay. but
Okay,
I
so
guess
it's not
to-
harming
to-
us.
Well, the perception is harmful.
No, it's not,
No,
because most
it-
people,
no,
Tracy,
it is-
most people, every person who went to town meeting is in favor of that project. If you poll the people that
For
are involved
conservation.
in this, every single person that went to town meeting voted for this.
For conservation of that
Yes.
property. And what's to happen with the house? Does Joe Pellet still buy it, or what's the deal?
It doesn't matter. We're not going to buy the house. We're not going to have anything to do with the house.
Nothing to do, so the parcel will be split?
Yeah, however, it'll be split. It could
There'd be
be,
no benefit to the youth center.
So we don't buy the house?
no, we don't want to touch that.
So can I, being relatively new, there's definitely, I can see some valid points on both sides. I'd like to sort of rewind a little bit and go back to Tracy's suggestion. I would
Yeah.
love to have all of the information be distributed, or point me in the right direction where I can look it
Sure.
up.
I mean, why don't we
Because I
do
would like
that?
to educate myself more
That's
before I can make a decision.
Fair enough, and, and I can put you in touch with other people
That'd be-
who've been involved in it
That'd be
as
great.
well, so.
I'd very much
Okay.
appreciate that.
Okay.
So maybe, Tracy, if we could hold off for a meeting.
Yeah, oh, absolutely,
You know what I mean?
absolutely, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I'd actually like to refresh my own memory
And
from it.
I
You want
also,
to bring Rick Gorman in and let him talk about
What does
the-
Rick have to do with it if we're?
Rick is the one who wants the land to use, to add to the youth center, and how what his vision is, if he was able to obtain that land, what he'd like to do with it. And I think that's important to
I
why I'm in favor of holding on to it.
And I agree that that's important. I think for me, the main important thing for me was what it's always been. Is it swampland, which soil testing has already showed us that it is wet? It is wet.
No.
So
it
it's,
shows that
yes,
it
the
was
soil
wet.
testing.
it was wet, but the thing
So
is.
it's undevelopable
Right.
and passive recreation. He can't put a field there.
No, but you see, see, where you're wrong is that if the drainage pattern changes and the wetlands go away, then it's developable. And that land is changed. Land is like
Okay.
that. I mean, land is like that, and that happens
If you
from time
walk
to
that,
time.
that's as dry, I'll take you out there, that is as dry.
No, I've been out
and we-
there.
And we can dig.
I mean,
I've been out there, I've dug holes.
My feeling toward it is the same that it was 3-4 years ago when it first came up. For a year, we couldn't get any information about the soil and if you could develop, if you could put a field, and I feel like that's still where we're at. I mean, if it's a realistically something that would benefit the youth center, of course I'm gonna be for it. But if realistically it's something that only benefits one person, then I have an issue with it. So I'm with Donovan. I'd love all the paperwork and all the testing, and maybe Jennifer can get out there and do what she needs to do, because you said she hasn't done her thing yet, so that would be great. If we could get the Conservation Commission to tell us what's going on out there and all the soil reports, and everybody get back on the same page. I mean, I'm just coming from the same place I came from 4 years ago, or whenever it first came up. If it's strictly to benefit, if you can't do anything with it, I'm not,
Right, so let's.
so let's just get the info
Well,
again.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, if you couldn't do anything with it in the end, and it was going to stay in that state anyway, that's what the status quo.
I mean,
determines today.
and you gotta be
But-
honest here, I mean, I question it, because, we're talking years here. He doesn't have anybody banging at his door to buy it.
Well, yeah, I mean,
So-
but then again, he may turn around and see the error of his ways and.
Absolutely, absolutely,
So that's
but-
where we want to have the flexibility. So
Yeah, I
fair
mean-
enough, we'll have a further conversation and we'll see what we can do.
I'd like to have Rick come in so
Yeah.
everybody has a clear understanding of what.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
What-
absolutely. If it
so,
can benefit the youth center,
yeah.
that's a different story.
Yeah. So the other one that we had, and I'm not sure who asked the question, on the Veterans Housing Project.
Could I just interject one note? And it's wetland, not swamp. Swamp is a part of the wetland, but the whole thing are wetlands.
whole thing is
So,
wetland.
yeah, okay. Because sometimes swamp might be a derogatory term.
Oh, okay. All
Okay,
right. Thank
so
you.
it's all wetland. Thank you.
I learned something. I
What
learned
was that?
something.
What was that, Terry?
I said, see what you were doing?
I used a derogatory term. Thank you, Dan.
So I don't know who asked the question on the Veterans Housing Project, but I
I remember, it's gonna be, I don't know I mean, Johnny Riker unfortunately passed away
Yeah.
this past month, so.
Sadly.
Now, I don't know, who would you reach out to?
So I talked to him before he got sick, and he didn't know that the money was still there for him to get.
That's what I
So he
thought.
said he was gonna work on it, and then I guess he got sick and nothing happened to it, so. I don't know.
It's only for the High Street property,
The High
correct?
Street
Right.
property, yeah. I mean, honestly, that was always intended to be a CBA project. I'm still sort of shocked that we didn't give them the money. We actually signed an agreement. I almost feel like we have an obligation.
Didn't you
to
even
give them the
speak
money.
that day?
I spoke that day, yeah, that's what I
Yes,
mean.
I know. I'm
And,
like-
so I'm surprised that at this point they haven't gone after, back the money. And I'm pretty sure, I'm gonna talk to Suzanne Egan, because I'm pretty sure they actually did an agreement with them.
I'm
on that,
almost
so,
positive
Yeah,
that-
I would be surprised if they did.
I mean, the whole
That was an
town.
herbalist one, but, it was.
Yeah, but still.
So I'll talk to Suzanne, but I'm pretty sure that, we should give them the money. It may not be that much, it might be less, I don't know, but I think we should give them the money.
I
because
agree.
We originally said that, so, okay. So that's that one. The next one is Academy Road and then the Oostler, so we're into our parking.
So did you talk to Housing Trust down there, or whoever?
You said you were gonna go talk to,
So, I did, and all the agreements, what they say is, in the original application, in the actual agreement with the town, says that Center Realty Trust has the right but not the obligation to build a parking area, so it's really up to them to do that, whether they do that or not.
you said you felt pretty confident going and speaking, and that
I
they'd
thought
be happy to do it.
Well, I thought they would, I'm not sure. Right now, all the stuff that's going on with the Historical Society and Center Realty Trust, it's pretty ugly. Historical Society sued Center Realty Trust because of their stewardship of the properties. I think that those folks are upset with the Historical Society. The Historical Society, didn't submit a CPA proposal for the, related to the
Yeah.
thing. They're actually going to try to sell the thing as a single-family house. I don't know whether they'll take the part of the property on Academy Road and include it with that or not, but.
It's gonna be cut off. It's gonna be parceled off, so there'll be 3 parcels.
Oh, it is? Yeah, it's just, the original idea was that they would give a CR for the lot that's on Academy Road, so that would be the last piece, but right now, at this point, they haven't done that, so I guess there's no CPA money involved in it.
Yeah.
But, beyond that, that's,
So
the
Center
funny
Realty
thing was,
Trust isn't
is that
willing
if they had done that project, there would have been, one of the problems related to parking up there is that, as you know, everybody parks all along Academy Road, and on the side that's closest to the common, what they do is they head-in park. They don't parallel park, they head-in park, and they create a mud mess there. And one of the proposals had actually been to put some brick pavers in so that people could actually park there. And, that's something I think this Historical Society is still talking about. It would be a good idea to do something like that so it's not such a mess. But
So Center Realty Trust is not going to do the parking lot.
probably not.
So then I think going forward, we should, as we went through the last meeting, much of their proposal had a lot to do with parking. It was a big chunk of their proposal as to why, what they would put in the parking, and it's wrecking Academy Road like you just spoke of.
I'm not
so
sure if we go back and look at the proposal, I don't think it
We went
focused.
over it last meeting. I brought it all in, yeah.
Yeah.
It was big chunks of it about parking. So for me, I'm just saying, I think we need to be cautious in the future. If someone says they're going to do a parking lot, it's not on, if
Well,
they choose to or not.
it's-
Oh, no, it's got to be included.
It's got to
if
be a
you're gonna
requirement,
use it
that's what I
as-
mean, like this Glenning thing, they've actually agreed to a parking lot, so they said that they would put the parking lot in. It's
The
included
what?
in This Glenning one for the Essex County Greenbelt, they have committed to putting a parking lot in, so.
Right, but I mean, I think our agreements, they have to be strong.
Yeah,
It's
right.
not gonna be, because,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I
I
would,
think there's a fence over there that needs to go up, though, from conservation, I think. Yeah.
and
I'll email
I think anything,
Jack, too, but I think
if
it
we
makes
get
sense.
another project from any of them,
The main thrust is
I think we
the
need
6
to-
livable lots.
if we get another project from any of these groups, somehow we need to get them to live to their word and put that parking lot in as part of the next project, even if it's not next to it.
Well, it's the way the final agreement was written.
Right.
That it was, the wording allowed them to make the choice. We can't allow that
No,
anymore.
I'm just saying in the next project, if we were to face another project from them, I think we have to add that in.
Yes,
and make it mandatory.
strong, that's what I'm saying.
Even if it's not even connected to it.
They're
Yes.
saying to get the
Yes.
requirement.
Oh, I see what you, okay, now I'm following, thank
Yeah.
you. Now I get it. Regardless, if
Right.
they come forward for something, there's gonna be a parking lot.
Right.
I got it.
I like that idea.
I like it too.
And also, to put the parking
Or
lot
put it in.
first. Put the parking
Yes.
lot in first before they
that too,
start the
Deb.
project.
I like that.
Absolutely, Deb, I like
Do
that
that
too.
at the beginning, yeah, that's a good idea, yeah, okay,
Great idea.
okay, good, okay.
I
mean, I'm just going back, I pulled up what Tracy sent from their proposal, which is not the same as the grant agreement.
No, the granite, that's where it went awry.
Right. But, it does say the cost of the parking area would be the sole expense of CRT.
Yes.
If constructed, it would be screened from the road with fencing. And it also says the area north of the parking area would be maintained by the current or future owner of 140 Academy Road. So, I mean, it's quite explicit, and
Yes.
I'm just wondering, like, at this point, I would say, I would like to have a conversation with Center Realty Trust and say, what gives?
Yeah.
Because I think it's one thing to say,
That's what we voted on.
I think it's one thing to say, like, we're not interested in it, but I think, the people of town deserve an explanation. Like, you said parking lot, now you're saying, nah, no parking lot. You should at least come up here and say, these are the reasons why we're not gonna build the parking lot.
Right.
And there might be totally valid reasons. I mean,
I mean, I think we agreed last meeting that we didn't want to, that John was going to go speak to
Yeah, I
him in
mean,
a friendly way, but
I think we can
I'm
still,
past that.
still talk to them again, it's just
No,
right
I think
now
we should
it's
invite
like-
them.
Yeah, you can invite them in. I mean, you can invite the three of them in, but they're, it's Ben Osgood, Charlie Salisbury, and Todd Elliott, I think.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can invite them in if,
Maybe just as to why, I don't understand what the reasoning, it was a big chunk of the application. What's the reasoning now?
Well, the reason because I voted on it, I mean, I voted on the piece of paper you're talking about, not the other proposal. So I
Which is
would
the
like to.
agreement,
Right,
that's-
right, I know, but I would like to see that they lived up to what they came in front of us to.
Right, and the town,
And the town meeting, yeah.
Right.
and the town.
The operative word is if. So you have to hinge on that. If doesn't mean that they necessarily have to do it.
No,
It is
not at
their-
all, not at all.
It is their choice.
Right.
Correct, but, as coming in as an outsider who wasn't there for the debate and just reading this off the street, it's clearly being made a selling point.
Yes.
Of the proposal. It's a nice bold
But there is,
bullet
but there is a
Absolutely, it's
loophole
carefully
there.
worded.
Yep.
It's very
Yep.
carefully worded.
Specifically
But it's
worded. Yeah.
being sold.
Yeah,
Again,
exactly.
I wasn't there for the debate, but that's how I would have read this, without a doubt.
fair, yeah. No, that's good. You actually are probably the best one because you have no preconceived notion of.
So bring them
yeah.
in and grill them.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, I just think as to,
Just ask them nicely.
yeah, like, why? Why not? I mean,
Yeah.
it was,
So-
I just feel that
I mean, I think.
we learned from it.
Yeah,
you know.
fair enough, and I
Probably
think
should've
that,
been
I think in the end they'll do it, it's just that right now is a brutal time, given all the. crap
It's
that's
been a number of
going on.
years. They're not gonna do it, John. You know
Yeah.
they're not gonna do
Yeah,
it, so.
maybe.
It's,
So let's.
There is a
uh,
fence.
everyone here is passionate about this, passionate. So if they come in and we let them know what our passion is, hopefully they will do it.
Are they
Yeah, I
interested in
mean,
that
I
come
think
before us
if
for anything
there's a
else in the future?
consensus of this
Eventually,
group
if they're being
that this
sued by
will
the
happen,
stores.
that, that pushes it along, so.
Yep.
So, fair enough, we'll get, I'll see if I can, get those guys in
All
pretty
three?
soon. Yeah, all three of them, or two of them. Charlie's down in
Charlie's in
Florida, so,
Florida,
yeah, so you might not get him, but Ben's around. The next one is, Usla Properties, have site visit schedule, have we done that, or do we want to do that? When do we want to do that?
No, I've emailed a couple times, but I haven't heard,
But what was
nobody was,
there was a plan. Somebody?
John was gonna schedule with Jen and send it out to all of us so we
I'm
can get
looking at
over
the
it.
minutes right now. John was gonna reach out to John Smolak. Along with Jen, and Glenn, from the Trails Committee.
Yeah,
So I guess my question would be,
I'd like to be a part of that, only because I've been up there so much that I don't want to just send them up there and, I want to understand what I'm
Yeah,
talking about.
no, so that was the next step.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought we were gonna touch base with them and then assemble like a
That's-
critical mass.
that-
and sort
that's
of a
exactly
meeting,
what we're-
And I'll go there and take a look at it and say, this is
Yeah.
how it could work.
That's what is reflected in the minutes, so.
okay. Well, let me talk to I talked to Smollett today about something else, so, okay. Bill, do you want to talk about the website?
So I had good news. I met with Chris McClure last week, and basically he showed me a number of different things that the town is already tracking, based on a GIS system, meaning a map-based system that we're looking for as our interface. And, essentially he showed me the dog layer of the town. Like, you can see every dog license in the town, like where they are, and you can even put a picture in. So if you lose your dog, the town can, pull it up and send it.
Oh, I
send
love
out.
it. That's cool.
So it was very cool. He said this is very, very simple from IT perspective. So the first step is I need to get him a list of the projects in Excel form that I'll put together, and then with their location. And then what he said was, we do have, what I was most worried about was the labor, like who's going to scan all this stuff and input it. And he said we could design sort of a form, and then the seniors who are doing the property tax abatement work, they're already scanning all sorts of documents all the time. They have a room set up downstairs where they,
I love it.
scan this stuff in. So essentially, it would, imagine, a web form that would say, Usla property, there'd be a box. My work could maybe to work on the spreadsheet just to come up with 2 or 3 sentences on every project, which is, pretty easy. And then they would just we'd have to get the physical files all together, get them over here, and say like, okay, we want to scan all these documents in and put it in the link to the Laserfish, and it would be very simple. And they said, either we could put an address in, give them the address, or we could even do like, he said, you could even do it on your phone. You could drive out to a remote site, tap your phone, and say, this is the spot.
Oh,
He
neat.
thinks
Took a
it's
lat long, yeah.
he thinks it's very easy, and it's really just getting all the files together and setting that up. So I'm gonna get him the spreadsheet over the next week or so. I'll get the spreadsheet over to him, and then he'll start to build the interface of what will go in it, and then hopefully we could bring like the prototype of 1 or 2 projects in to say this is what it would look like, critique it, and then go from there.
So what I did about 2 years ago when we did the monument money, right? Is I brought it down to DPW, and they had me take a picture of every monument and then get the location, and then they put it on that. So you can go to it, every monument in town, there's a photograph of it and where it's located. That's really cool. Got put on that same thing. And they did it really quickly.
So I assume this is the most labor-intensive part of it, and then from that, like, we're gonna have like general info on there and applications and what we are, that too, right?
That won't, I mean, that'll be like a bar on the side.
Yeah.
And like, we're basically looking at like one lip would be like, I think even if the landing page were all the projects.
Yeah, oh,
and then we
absolutely,
put
absolutely,
everything else, like
yeah.
our name, members and all that stuff on the
Yeah, I
left.
dig it. I dig
would have
that.
more visual impact to say,
Right.
hey, here
Yeah.
are all the pins on the map,
It's great.
so.
That's really great.
Good, thank you for doing that. So, regarding future meetings, everybody is going to come back with their dates. We'll schedule 2 meetings, and then I think in our meeting on the 14th, that'll be the date we take our final votes on which projects we recommend, so. Anything else before we approve the minutes and break?
Yeah, before we approve the minutes, in the minutes from last meeting was we didn't talk about the Rolling Ridge parking lot as part of this. I think it was left that you guys were going to schedule a walkthrough with the pastor.
Yeah,
Did
we
that happen?
haven't done that yet,
Okay.
unfortunately. I've been in Denver
I've been
just
tempted to go
about
over for a
constantly. You
walk,
can
but
go over there.
Holding back, so.
We have new,
Okay.
we have 5 people in our house now instead of 2, so.
Is that something, I heard they're coming back permanent, no?
What's that? My daughter and two
That's great.
grandsons, so,
That's great.
yeah, we got, I gotta rush home for the 4-year-old and play with him before he goes to bed. So- I need help from you guys, I'm exhausted.
All right, well then I move that we approve the minutes from January 10th, 2019.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion to adjourn?
Yes, I would move that we adjourn the meeting this evening.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great.
How are you gonna approach this